Good evening. Welcome to the Gresham-Barlow Board of Education, July 3rd, 2024 regular board business meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. And Sean, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? So we do have present tonight myself, Chris Howitt, Kathy Keithley, Blake Peterson, David Ligatich is absent, Holly Riegelman is present, Myra Gomez is absent, Sean Barnes is here, and Superintendent James Hugh is here. So with that, we do have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by moved by Kathy, seconded by Holly to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, that shows unanimous. Next up is the land acknowledgement, and it's been a couple of meetings since I've read it, so I'll go ahead and do that. We acknowledge that the land where the Gresham-Barlow School District is located rests on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, bands of the Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We also acknowledge the systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. As settlers and guests on this land, we respect the work of Native nations, leaders, and families, and make ongoing efforts to center Indigenous knowledge, creativity, resilience, and resistance. We consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today. And often we have Myra reads the Spanish version, and I don't know if we have anyone available to do that this evening. I'm not going to mangle it, so we will go on with that. So next up is most of the meeting tonight is procedural. And the first thing that we have is the election of the chair and vice chair. We do that per policy, and it's policy BCA, and BCB. And so the procedure for doing that is we have nominations. Nominations do not require a second, and then we will have a vote for both the chair and the vice chair. So if there are any nominations for the chair, we will take them now.
Can we do it in one slate?
Maybe.
Okay, I'd nominate our current officer slate, which is Chris Howard as chair and Kathy Keithley as vice chair.
Okay, all right. Are there any other nominations for that? Kathy, you okay with it? I'm okay with it. Okay, we make a good team. All right, there being no further nominations. Let me get to my procedural part on here. Yeah, so
Okay, can I
yeah, go ahead.
move to elect Chris Howard to serve as board chair for 2024-25? Motion. Second.
Yes, so
I can second it.
Blake made the motion, Holly seconded to, I can't see where it reads it on here, sorry. Pardon me?
To elect you.
Yes, to elect Chris Howard as chair and Kathy Keithley as vice chair.
I did not.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do this as slate. Oh, she said that we have to do it separate. Oh, okay, okay, that's what I was trying to listen for. I'm sorry. Okay, so, yes. All those in favor, Chris Howard as chair?
Aye.
Aye. And I see no opposed. All right, would you like to make the motion then for Kathy, please?
Move to elect Kathy Keithley to serve as board vice chair for 2024-25.
All right, it's been moved by Blake, seconded by Sean for Kathy Keithley to be vice chair during the 2024-25 school year. Any discussion? See none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We have a chair and a vice chair. All right. Now to the business. Do we have public comment tonight, Sarah? All right. So anyone that's here, if you did not get a form in, one call, all call. Okay, we will go ahead and move on from that then. And next up is our consent agenda. Consent agenda, let me get to it, read the actual part. All items listed are matters considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. The motion requires a second and a vote. There is no separate discussion of items on the consent agenda unless a member of the board requests specific items be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. On the consent agenda are minutes from the special work session, June 5th, minutes from the budget hearing on June 5th, minutes from the business meeting on June 5th, minutes from the special work session on June 17th, minutes from the regular work session on June 18th, and the monthly financial report as of May 31st, 2024, and the personnel report, employee contracts. There's also a policy update on that. There's a lot of things in the consent agenda this time. Policy update, which includes policy GCBDA, GDBDA, and policy GCBDF, GDBDF. So with all of that, that slate of 8, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Holly, seconded by Kathy to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next up is an update from the superintendent and district leadership.
Thank you, Chair Howitt. As I reflect on the 23-24 school year, it seems that I blinked and now we are here. It's July 3rd, 2024, the beginning of the 24-25 school year. I can vividly remember the first day of school for our students back in September of 2023. We were welcoming back students and families at Highland Elementary School. Staff welcomed our students and families with joy, love, and positivity. In the month of June, we participated in many end of the year and school and district activities and celebrations. A few weeks ago, we were able to participate in the Springwater Trail High School, Barlow High School, and Gresham High School graduation ceremonies. We were able to graduate 840 young adults. Where did the time go? Now it's my pleasure to introduce our newest assistant principal in the Gresham-Barlow School District, an elementary assistant principal, both at North Gresham and Highland Elementary School, Miss Nadia Ruiz. Next year, she will be an assistant principal both at Highland and North Gresham Elementary Schools. This year, she's worked as a dual language immersion teacher on special assignment and new teacher mentor. She has 19 years of teaching experience, including several years of dual language immersion program. She's taught first grade in the DLI program at Highland Elementary School. And so please welcome Nadia Ruiz to the district leadership team. Congratulations. She's here with her daughter and her mom. Thank you for being here and being here with your baby. Okay. After 33 years in public education, it is with a grateful heart that I announce my retirement from my position as superintendent of the Gresham-Barlow School District, effective December 31st, 2024. This decision has not come lightly, but after a lot of reflection and consideration of my personal priorities and my health, I feel it's the right time to transition to the next chapter in my life. My journey in public education started in 1991 as a young educator with the Portland Public Schools for 9 years. I transitioned to administration in North Clackamas at Milwaukee High School in 2000 and came to the Gresham-Barlow School District in 2003, where I've served the last 22 years as an educator. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I have to serve the students, families, and staff within our community. Throughout my tenure, I've witnessed the transformational power of education and the profound impact that it has in shaping lives. It has been a privilege to play a role in fostering academic excellence, cultivating a supporting learning environment, and empowering our students to reach their full potential. One of my most rewarding aspects of my career has been the opportunity to live and work within this vibrant community called Gresham. The relationships I've built with students, parents, educators, and community members have been invaluable, and I will cherish the memories we've created together. I'm proud of the progress we've made collectively and positive changes we've implemented to enhance educational outcomes and promote equity and inclusivity. As I embark on a new chapter, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the entire Gresham-Barlow School District community and to the Board of Education for your unwavering support, dedication, and commitment to educational excellence. I am confident that under new leadership, the district will continue to thrive and advance its mission of providing exceptional education to each student. Please know that although I may be retiring in my formal role, my passion for education and my commitment to the success of our students will always endure. I am deeply grateful for the friendships and memories I will carry with me into retirement, and I'm optimistic about the bright future in the Gresham-Barlow School District. Thank you again for the privilege of serving as superintendent of schools. It has been an honor to work alongside you as a school board and this vibrant community to share a common vision of excellence. I will forever cherish my time here and collective impact we've made together. Thank you.
We will have an opportunity later to share stories, but I'd like you to walk the line, please, and shake our hands. Is there anything else in your superintendent report, Mr. Hugh?
That was it. Thank you.
That was it. That was enough. Thank you. Next up is update from board members. And Sean, can I go ahead and start with you?
Sure. First of all, I wish you luck in your retirement. Thank you for all your years of service in education, especially here at Gresham-Barlow. I spent many years here as a teacher, and you were here that whole time, and now I'm as a school board, and you've been the superintendent pretty much the whole time I've been here. So on the board. This last month, I had the opportunity to go to Highland Elementary School and do see the book release of the students there. It was a really cool opportunity to read about the students and learn about them and see what they're proud of. So it was a really cool opportunity.
Director Peterson.
I will, I've been bottling up thoughts, positive thoughts about you, James, for 7 years that I've been on the board. And I'm going to continue to bottle them up until December's meeting. And then I'm going to work very hard to get through that one. Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Holly.
I don't necessarily have anything specific tonight either. I know this is our short board meeting. Thank you, James. I agree with Blake. The time's not over yet. We have till December, so we'll save it. We'll save it till then, but appreciate everything.
Director Keegan.
Just all the graduations of, I think 7 of them, I was able to attend 6. And all the kids coming through, I mean, I'm not sure how many handshakes that was, probably at least maybe 1,000. And each student that came through, I was just a hand to them that they had to shake, and they clearly didn't see me because their vision was, towards the future, I guess. But I want to say it's really impactful to see the absolute individuality of every student that crossed every single stage that I was at. And it was incredible. And much of that, James, is your accomplishments, clearly, through the years. I too will wait for December, but I do want to share this one thing. I think it's pertinent tonight, especially since your family's here. Sorry. And that is the evening that we had to make your selection. it might, if people remember, that was 2020. And we were in an absolute firestorm with COVID. Certainly not all of you before I even came on the board. I was brand new and I'm in HR, and we should always do a process, not because I didn't want you, but it meant, you know, more credibility for you. When we made the decision to appoint James, I remember distinctly, and I've shared this story often. We walked out, we appointed James, and there was a palpable sigh of relief from all of the people in the audience. And that is to your credit. So well done.
Just quickly, a couple of things. I did the book reveal at Highland, which was very, very interesting. Sat with a couple of kids and had them read their story to me. And then I did have a little girl that invited me to go out and have a cookie with her so that we could have a cookie in the entryway area. I did both the Springwater graduation and the Metro East Web Academy. And lest you think that they don't look at you, Kathy, after I did both those graduations, I had graduates who by chance came into my store and said, "You were on stage, you shook my hand." And I thought, of course I did. I remember you. Absolutely. June 15th also, it's been a lot of work going on in June with the Oregon School Boards Association. We had our end of year wrap up and also the legislative policy review. It's going to be a very interesting legislative year. Two bills that they're talking about how this is going to work with school districts and school boards in particular. House Bill 2656, which is a state accountability. And then also continuing work on House Bill 2001, which is staff diversity and student attendance. And just so that folks know, we have had Superintendent Hsu intention to retire at the end of December 31st, 2024. Board leadership is met, wanted to provide an overview of the process that will be followed and to get the input on areas of the process that will be defined by the board. We received some information from the Oregon School Boards Association that the following steps will be taken. The board will officially declare the position vacant before any recruitment activity can take place, and that will be done after an official letter of resignation is received by the superintendent. The board is required to allow public input as to what they'd like to see in a superintendent, so we'll be holding community meetings, community forums, we'll be doing a variety of things. The board can determine the depth and scope of the public input. The board then adopts a search process and timeline in a board meeting in order for the process to begin. When we did the recruitment for Superintendent Pereira, which I was here for, it started in January of 2016 and she was hired in May. Because the board is not meeting until our August retreat, we'll make the declaration of the vacancy at that meeting. We've set aside a time on the agenda at that meeting to discuss the options. And we will have the files from the 2016 recruitment to look at and review. We anticipate presenting the options before the retreat, so there's time for board members to review it and come with questions and their thoughts on what a process could or should look like. We have also had 2 board members indicate an interest in being on a subcommittee for the hiring process. And if you'd like to be considered for that, please reach out to me or Kathy by the end of July. And also as a side note on that, I was counting up and I think I've been involved in at least 7, maybe 8 superintendent hiring processes, if I include the interim as well as the full-time. So, and everyone is different. Everyone is unique, but it has been a couple of them. So with that, it does say on our agenda that we have a board recess, but I think we're going to power through. Okay, we're going to keep going. Next up, we have association reports, and I do see that Erica is here, and I don't know. Okay, Erica Fuller.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Board, Chair Members, Superintendent Hugh. Basically, we have nothing to report. It's July. Yay. Everyone's on vacation, hopefully enjoying their summer, hopefully have air conditioning for the next couple of days. And I hope that all of our year-round employees have air conditioning or are maybe adjusting their hours to work in the morning. So they have the afternoon off for that, at least Friday. I think we're going to have hot weather. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the report. To Mr. Superintendent Hugh, I don't want to cry. Mahalo.
When we have our December meeting, Sarah, there better be tissues at every station for everyone. If there's a dry eye in the house, eye in the house, it's not. So, and I can see I've got to just keep mowing, otherwise superintendent's gonna cry. We're not gonna do that. Do we have anyone here this evening from GBEA? I don't see anyone. Okay, thank you. It's July. All right. So next up is a couple of action items. The first one is the annual procedure business designation resolutions, and this has Mr. Clegg's name on it. Most of these are enacted with one motion. We do have a list of what those are, but Mr. Clegg, do you want to give any further input on what this is?
Thank you, Chair Howard. The only change on the designation is in the auditor role. We moved from Polly Rogers to KDP Public Accountants. And everything else on that role or that list remains the same, as well as all of the other resolutions.
The resolution or the motion is to approve the resolutions as one block. So if someone would like to make a motion to do that.
I move to approve by one motion resolutions 2025-04 through 2025-08 for fiscal year 2024-25.
It's been moved by Kathy, seconded by Holly, to approve by one motion resolutions 2025-04 through 2025-08 for fiscal year 2024-25. Is there any further discussion? Blake.
Just, it doesn't affect the substance, but just clerically, updating the date of the memo would be. Thanks.
So we'll make sure and have that date updated. All right, so with that, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, next up is the date and time of our board meetings. And we have two options before us. We have a Wednesday option and we have a Thursday option. And we had quite a bit of conversation about this last year. And so I have not talked with any board members to find out how we were feeling about it. I have a feeling I know where it's going to go, but
David's not, just,
he is or is not.
I don't know.
No, I don't believe he is. David is not. Yeah, he wasn't able to. And I don't believe Myra is either, right? Sarah? Okay. And was the GBEA rep was not online, were they? They might come on a little bit later. They might think we're going to be later in the meeting, not realize we've run through this really fast. So, okay. So, I got to get to this so that it's bigger. Policy BCBCA requires the board to provide for the date, time, and place of its regular meetings for the fiscal year in July of each year. So we have a proposed calendar and we have the list of calendar dates that's in our board packet. And there are a list of dates that show when we have our regular business meetings, as well as when we have our work sessions, our special meetings, which are our usual retreat, our all day long events, longer day events. And I'm not sure what else more to say about that, other than if someone would like to, if there's any questions about the process or any questions about the listing of what we have. Otherwise, it is a motion and we can start with someone making the motion and see where we go from there.
I move to adopt the 2024-25 regular meeting schedule for Wednesdays as presented.
All right, it's been moved by Sean, seconded by Holly to adopt the 2024-25 regular board meeting schedule for Wednesdays as presented. I know we've had quite a bit of conversation with this and I would be in favor of going ahead and doing the Wednesdays, continuing on the schedule that we have. I don't think anyone had come forward and said that the current schedule as it is for Wednesdays would impact being able to attend. So I'll make sure if there's any questions about that. Okay, all right, call for the vote. All those in favor? Sarah, so our meetings will be on Wednesdays again this year. And that's always pending bad weather, things that happen, stuff that goes on, loss of electricity. So, all right, next up, and this has Dennis Clegg and Dr. Tracy Klinger on here, the 2023-24 Summer Learning Agreement. Are you taking it to start? All right, Dennis?
Thank you, Chair Howard. The Oregon Legislature with House Bill 4082 allocated funds for summer learning programs, approximately $30 million across the state. The Gresham-Barlow School District was awarded $1.5 million of that money from ODE for their summer programs. The purpose of the funding is to accelerate learning, enhance academic growth, and provide youth development opportunities for students pre-K through 12th grade. You'll see on the agenda item, there's several items that are approved for using those funds. And I would let Dr. Klinger answer any questions regarding those directly.
Dr. Keithley?
Just for a point of reference, last year's program, did we get any outside funds and or what was the total cost of the program itself?
Last year, so we've each year budgeted for about $2 million towards summer programming. And last year we used a combination of predominantly ESSER funds, but then also some Measure 98 and some other grant funding sources that we have. This year, this 1.5 million, we are pairing with $500,000 from ESSER. So we're having that kind of same level of programming that we've had in the past. And that's allowed us to use some of that ESSER money to offset some other staffing costs and things, so.
And how many how many students usually?
Well over 1,000. We'll have the full report kind of towards the end of the summer, similar programming to what we've done in the past. There was a requirement this year that we offered 80 hours of programming. So we did some partnering with our Sun partners to make sure that that was happening. But we feel really good about the program we have in place and it's going well.
Any other questions? Sean?
It's not a question, it's a comment. I will tell you from a parent perspective, my son was invited by a teacher or recommended to attend summer school. We followed their recommendation and we weren't sure what was going to happen. We've never sent him to summer school before. All of us were nervous the night before. He got there and the first thing he saw was a really good friend of his, and he has had a blast, and he really likes the schedule. He feels like he's learning. He feels like it's worthwhile. And I think if we qualify, we'll do it again next year.
All right, so this does require a motion.
I would move to approve the 2023-24 summer learning agreement with ODE.
Been moved by Holly, seconded by Sean to approve the 2023. Right, okay, that's what I was looking at too. And okay, all right. Move to approve the 2023/24 summer learning agreement with ODE, the Oregon Department of Education. Any further discussion? See. Is another Dennis Clegg, you're just running the meeting tonight. So next up is the 2024-25 Community Eligibility Provision identified as CEP certification. Mr. Clegg.
Thank you, Chair Howard. There were comments made earlier that yes, it is my meeting, so I'll get through these things as quickly as possible. For the 24-25 school year, all of the Gresham-Barlow schools and the Center for Advanced Learning and Gresham Arthur Academy charter schools qualify under the provisions of the Community Eligibility Plan. As we know, the goal of that program is to provide meals for underserved and disadvantaged youths. The Lucy Clark Montessori Charter School is their own sponsor currently, so they are not included on our list. We are working on an agreement to bring them under our umbrella going forward. Again, the continued participation in the CE program provides for students and families facing a variety of hardships and challenges.
Sure, Sean.
So I know there's a program out there where all students in a school gets the funds, and then another one where it's just like the free and reduced students. Is this the program where all students in basically all of our schools get the
Yes,
food?
it's under provision two, which is we won't go into the details, but it does allow all students in all schools to eat at no cost.
Did you have a question, Blake? Okay, all right.
I-
Oh,
Fine question. It says in the little intro that, schools qualify if there's 40% of students. Is that district-wide then?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
district-wide, we're at 50-something%.
any further clarifying questions? So is there a motion for this then, please?
I move to approve the GBSD certification for participation in the school nutrition community eligibility provision program for the 24-25 school year.
So it's been moved by Sean, seconded by Blake to approve the GBSD certification for participation in the school nutrition community eligibility provision program for the 2024-25 school year. And I had asked the question about the Montessori school, so thank you for bringing that to us as well. Any further discussion about the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. What a surprise, Mr. Clegg. Intent to award contract facility assessment and long-range facility plan. This does have both your name and Terry Taylor. So Terry, are you going to come down to the stage with Mr. Clegg?
I think he's gonna sit there since there's only one chair there.
Oh, you can see.
Good evening.
GBSD
Good evening,
issued an
Terry.
RFP for facilities assessment and long-range planning on May 8th, 2024. The preliminary intent of that RFP was to prepare required updates for the facility and long-range planning submission to ODE per OAR 581-027-0040. The data for the facilities assessment will be provided to schools, to firms and the district through a joint venture with ODE and Bureau Veritas, which is a pilot program run by ODE to help schools evaluate their buildings and complete accurate planning. We received 5 responses on June 5th, and they were from Cooperative Strategies, DLR Group, RNC Management Group, Sage Architecture, and Soderstrom Architects. The proposals were evaluated by Mr. Taylor, Mr. Schmidt, and myself, based on the criteria that was provided in the RFP. After the evaluations, we had determined that 4 firms were selected for interviews, and we interviewed those 4 firms, their teams, to get a better feel for their proposals. And then after we had those interviews, there was discussion amongst the GBSD team, and we determined that Soderstrom Architects' proposal was the most effective and provided the information we need. It is not to exceed $165,000 in their contract.
I have a question and Dr. Farnes does. I'm not familiar with this particular firm. Are they new to our area or how? I know most of who the other ones are. I just hadn't seen that one before.
No, they're not new to the area. They are, they're a presence in the Portland region. We will be the largest school they've done these types of assessments for, but they have a strong background in doing school building assessments, completing the long range planning process for districts throughout the region.
We've actually worked with them in 79 and 80 with Hall and Hollydale. And then when we did a restructure, when those schools were open concept, they came in and divided them up. We've had done some other small works with them. There was another individual, Henry Fitzgibbon, that might be a name that, okay, he's left the firm, but Marlene is the one heading it up.
Right. I do know that name. All right, Sean, you had a question.
Yeah, I'm all for getting a plan or whatever, but I just want to make sure I understand what are we going to do with the plan? Is it going to go up on a shelf and gain dust, or what's the purpose of this plan?
No, it will be a active document, dynamic document, particularly now that we are part of the pilot program with ODE and Bureau Veritas. We will be able to get better information to make sure we're updating the plan and using the plan for strategic planning, long-range planning. Whenever maybe we end up looking at another bond, this will be an updated program. You know, we'll take a look at it and say, okay, it's been 5 years, let's update this and use that as the basis for that. So no, the intent is not for it to be a paperweight. It will be an active document that is used to keep a handle on the strategic operations.
And if I may, we are by statute needing to do a long-range facility plan every 10 years. We did the long-range facility plan in 2015. So now we're at that time. That one led to the bond. We know that we are, we're not even halfway there yet, right, on spending that one out. Part of the long-range facility plan is a demographics analysis. What has the development been in our area? Did we hit the mark in 15? Are there some changes? Do we have some growth? Educational vision. There will be a component of that. And then as well as physical needs, and that piece with ODE. ODE went out and contracted and got Bureau Veritas. They have a $15 million project, and every 5 years are going to update all schools in Oregon for their facility needs. We are one of the 9 pilot schools, and since we just finished our bond, we had all the information. It was really nice. We could tell them all the roofs that were repaired, all the building, all the mechanical systems. So we actually have really good data, and we set the bar really high, and we toured with them so that we get better information out. So what that'll do then is it'll take a look at things, they're scheduling those out. What needs to be done in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and they'll be coming back to do that. But they're doing life expectancy of systems. So we are going to use this data to help us build that facilities needs. And then if there are some demographic changes that we would come back to you and be able to share with what's going on. And then working with the education team to be able to say, did we miss some things there? And then plan for that future. So yes, it's a 10-year plan, but it's going to be 5-year increments of updates.
Okay, Director Keithley.
That's helpful because it is kind of like, gosh, we just got done with the bond. But as you said, and I think it's important for the public, especially depending on what we do with any kind of a future bond, that you get it built and then you think it's going to be good. And then pretty soon it's not good because you didn't plan. So that 10-year and everything's helpful. My question is, in the process of the evaluation, are teachers or staff involved, or is it really just strictly, finance and facility people?
We get the easy parts with the brick and mortar and the demographics. We will, Marlene's team, and that's one of the strengths, not one, they have a really strong background in that, working with the educational vision of school districts. They have a wealth of team support with their group. Yes, we're going to be the biggest district, but again, I don't think we're ready to go out on that bond. I think their team showed that nucleus of being able to bring those people in. And so I don't know who those members are, but it will be of the educational world. And so that we get a representation from the buildings and how the students are involved. We'll be looking to Dr. Klingers and folks to be able to bring that team in. So.
All right, thank you. I don't think there's any other questions from the board. Looking forward to the information. Thank you.
Do you need to approve it?
No, it's just information. Oh, do we need to? Sorry.
I'll do it.
Yep. Thank you, Kathy. Yep, there is a move to approve. All right, thank you.
I move to award the contract for the GBSD Facility Assessment and Long Range Facility Plan to Soderstrom Architects in the amount not to exceed $165,000.
It's been moved by Kathy, seconded by Holly, to award the contract for the GBSD Facility Assessment and Long Range Facility Plan to Soderstrom Architects in an amount not to exceed $165,000. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. My computer had gone to sleep in between the presentation, not because of the presentation, but it went to sleep. So, but we're going to do more money. So information item is monthly financial report, which we did just have in our consent agenda. I don't know if there were any other questions about it, but it is provided to us on a monthly basis. And this looks like it is as of May 31st. So we'll have another one later, at least by the August retreat. So any questions about the financial report or anything that you want to share with us, Mr. Clegg? Any highlights of it or?
No, Chair Howard, right now it's still on kind of a settling out period as we close the fiscal year. We've got things still coming in and I did mention there could be fluctuations of up to $850,000 depending on what's still out, what's not out that we thought was. So we'll have a better picture at the next presentation for
All
the
right.
budget
Okay.
report.
All right. Thank you. Next up is Director Keithley with a Portland Water Bureau update.
Thank you, Chair Howard. Before I give the update, I just want to remind you of where we've been and where we are now. As you might recall, the Multnomah County Hearings Officer did approve the Portland Water Bureau line application last fall, and then several organizations decided to appeal that decision to LUBA, which is the Land Use Board of Appeals. The board agreed to join the appeal as an intervener as to the appellates, and in April agreed to engage our board's attorney, Elliott Field, to prepare the appeal. At that time, the board approved a not to exceed amount of $10,000. As you know, I had attempted to draft the brief but realized very soon that because of all the case law that had to be researched and included in order to make it really valid and legally required to do so, there's no way I could do that. Why we are now in July is that there was a problem with the initial record as presented by Portland Water Bureau. And since April, we've been waiting for Portland Water Bureau to correct the record and then to Multnomah County to certify it. That's been done and the brief finally is due on July 5th. Based on several factors, our attorney needs an additional $15,000 to complete the work. And so there's several reasons for this. Number one, I think, is the literal volume of the administrative record. It is the largest record in the history of Multnomah County for any land use process. And by many accounts will be the largest presented to LUBA in this entire state and the history of the state LUBA process. Although that was considered in the original request, it is really hard to appreciate the complexity of that until you're in the middle of it. And the other consideration is the almost 3 months of meetings and preparation needed to correct the record. Nobody could see that coming. I also can tell you that based on conversations with some of the petitioner and other interveners, that every other land use attorney working on this project has also had to request additional funds. So the process that moving forward is that the brief will be filed and then Portland Water Bureau will have an opportunity to rebut those briefs. And then the petitioner and interveners will then have an opportunity to rebut Portland Water Bureau. And the final step is oral arguments. That would be it for, it would be up to the board, but something beyond that seems very out of the ordinary for us to even consider. But this amount of 15,000 gets us all the way through to the oral arguments. So it's up to the board to decide the amount, if any, you want to authorize to complete this process. But I'd like to share with you a couple thoughts to consider. Number one, of all the organizations that are a party to this appeal, some of which include the Cottrell Planning Organization, Fire District 10, Thousand Friends of Oregon, Multnomah County Farm Bureau, no one is making an argument for the safety of our students and trying to maintain the district's legal obligation to transport our students to the schools. Our participation in this really was the absolute lack of Portland Water Bureau's consideration of any of our concerns from the beginning. So even if the project continues, our commitment, so we don't know how the project will turn out, whether we will be successful or the petitioner will be successful at LUBA. I think our argument will help that. We won't know unless we proceed. But even if it does not, we do not prevail and the project continues, our commitment to finishing this process to the end will give the board and the district the ability to say to our students and families impacted by this that we really did everything we could for their benefit. And so with that, I would ask Dennis to provide the board with the amounts available for the project, and then happy to answer any questions.
So the 15,000 estimate, is that money that has been started to be used up to this point? Or is it, where is it at in the, how much is going to be?
It gets us through to oral arguments. I think that he, to get us to where we are now with all of his preparation and the research might have gone over a bit, but this gets us clear to the end of the project. And even without, he will potentially be able to finish the project, or at least, I don't know where the brief will be in its entirety without this, but it's the brief and responses, rebuttals, and oral arguments. It's the entire thing.
And when you say he, you're talking about the attorney Elliott Field. and
Elliott
Garrett
Field,
Heeman. Okay.
the
and
board's
that is
attorney.
The board's attorney.
And just as a reminder, some of the other attorneys that are working with the petitioner and the interveners are land use attorneys and at double the rate of our attorneys. So we have been lucky to get, lucky, I don't know, lucky is the word, but we have gotten more double, yeah, fortunate. Fortunate's a much better word.
So on this then, the material, there's volumes of it, it sounds like. There's lots and lots of information. Has that information been presented, made sure that district has copies of all that as well?
When it's filed.
When it's filed, okay, okay. Okay, any further questions? This is I would consider this to be an action item because we had originally said back in April, the $10,000. It has gone up to about $25,000, so an additional 15. And I'm not sure how close Mr. Field feels like this is, if this is going to come back one more time, if there's a not to exceed amount that he's comfortable with, or how would that work?
I drafted a motion.
Okay.
Is a not to exceed.
Okay.
And I wouldn't, frankly, present anything beyond this. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I am comfortable with this and not going beyond it.
okay. Oh, I don't think there's any further questions. Do you want to go ahead and do your motion?
Well,
Yes, no?
no,
No.
other than, I asked the superintendent to check with Dennis to see what was in the budget, because if there wasn't money in the budget, then we would not be proceeding. And if there was a limited amount, then we would consider just that. So if anybody wants to hear confirmation from or Superintendent Hugh.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, I did confirm with our Director of Finance that we do have the necessary funds to pay for the additional cost of this process. And so I would also recommend that there is a not to exceed amount at this point as well.
Sean,
I have the draft motion if we're ready for that.
okay, go ahead.
I move to approve in an amount not to exceed $15,000 to engage Elliott Field from Garrett Herman Robertson to assist in finalizing the brief to appeal to LUBA regarding the Portland Water Bureau Bull Run filtration plant.
I have a motion by Sean. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So it's moved by Sean, seconded by Holly. And can I use your cheat sheet? I'm just going to read it just to make sure we have it. Move to approve an amount not to exceed $15,000 to engage Elliott Field from Garrett Heeman Robertson to assist in finalizing the brief to appeal to LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, regarding the Portland Water Bureau Bull Run filtration plant. Any further discussion? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Who was the second one?
Holly. Sean was the motion, Holly was the second. All right, let's see, we're 50 minutes in. I've got another hour and a half to go. How long can we stretch this out? Let's get the poker meeting going. Okay, so we are to announcements, right? Okay, we're to announcements. Our next meeting is actually not a meeting, it's a social. It's August 22nd, 2024. It's the board summer social. It is not a meeting. It is an opportunity for the board to meet with and have conversation with administration. It's a tradition that's been around for a few years, and so far the location will be determined, and that will be on August 22nd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So we'll get more information from Sarah when that happens, but it will be a quorum event, but not a discussion. August 23rd, 2024 will be our board strategic planning session, otherwise known as the retreat, although it's not, it is a working retreat. It will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. approximately. And I believe, is the location going to be at Clear Creek? Okay, so currently the anticipated location will be Clear Creek Middle School in the library. And yes, did you have a question, Kathy? No? Okay. So it'll be at Clear Creek. And then September 4th, I was just looking at that to make sure, because of our meetings will be on Wednesdays, our next regular board business meeting will be September 4th in council chambers here in the Public Safety and Schools building at 7 p.m. And with that, we are adjourned.